your weekly shot of Gen AI news.
Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some of the top AI news from this first week of November.
Yeah, this AI Espresso is pretty strong this week. Lots of interesting developments happening.
Well, let's start sipping. First up, GitHub Copilot is rolling out something pretty big for developers.
Multiple AI models.
Right. It's a big shift from just using one AI provider.
Now, developers can choose from models like Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, Google's Gemini 1.5 Pro, and a couple new ones from OpenAI too, the O1 Preview and Neuron Mini.
So it's about having the best AI for the job.
Exactly. Different AIs have different strengths. One might be great for generating initial code, another for debugging, and maybe another excels at documentation.
That would be a game changer for software development.
It could make coding faster, more efficient, and even open doors for developers who are just starting out.
I see they've also launched Spark.
Ah, yes.
Spark.
What's that all about?
Well, it's an AI tool that helps developers create small applications using natural language. Interesting. So you could tell it what you want the app to do, and it would write the code for you.
Pretty much, it even features live previews and version tracking, so you can see the app evolve as you're working on it.
So kind of like what GitHub Copilot does for code,
Yeah.
but for creating entire mini apps.
Exactly, and all without having to be a coding expert. Pretty cool, huh?
Definitely. Now, moving away from developer tools, there's been some interesting news from LinkedIn. They've launched their first AI agent.
A hiring assistant.
Is this AI going to replace human recruiters?
Well, not quite. Think of it more as an assistant that helps recruiters with their day-to-day tasks.
Like what kinds of tasks?
Things like writing job descriptions, finding potential candidates, and even engaging with those candidates throughout the application process.
I could see that being really valuable for companies, especially those struggling to find the right people.
Absolutely. It leverages OpenAI's GPT for its language processing capabilities.
And they're starting with a limited rollout, right?
Yes, select enterprises like AMD and Canva have access now, but they plan to expand availability later.
That makes sense. It seems like AI tools are often rolled out gradually to ensure everything works smoothly.
It's also a good way to gather feedback and refine the tool based on real-world usage.
Speaking of wider availability, Apple Intelligence is finally coming to the EU.
By April 2025, and with multiple language support.
But I understand there's a slight difference in how it will roll out for iPhone and iPad users.
Right, because of the DMA gatekeeper regulations, those users in Europe will have to wait a bit longer for the full experience.
Those regulations are in place to ensure fair competition in the tech market.
Right, that's the idea.
Makes sense. But it seems they've worked around some of those restrictions because it sounds like most of the core intelligence features will be available.
Yes, which is interesting because Apple was initially pretty vocal about those DMA restrictions limiting the service.
It seems they found a way. Now, for something completely different, let's talk about Meta. They released Notebook Llama.
Open source implementation of Google's Notebook LM.
So, in simple terms,
It uses AI, specifically Llama models, to take text and turn it into a conversation like a podcast.
so I could feed it a research paper and it would create an audio discussion about the main points.
That's a goal.
The audio quality isn't quite there yet, though.
Not perfect. It's a bit robotic still, and there are some timing issues. But the researchers think it can be improved with better text-to-speech models.
It definitely has the potential to disrupt the podcasting world, even if it's not ready for prime time just yet. Are there other similar projects out there?
Oh, absolutely. Quite a few are trying to achieve this kind of AI-powered podcast generation, but they all face similar challenges like AI hallucinations.
When the AI just makes stuff up, right?
Precisely, and that's a big hurdle to overcome, especially for factual podcasts. Accuracy is crucial.
Definitely. All right, last but not least, let's talk about Read AI, a company making some noise in the AI summarization world.
Big noise. They just secured $50 million in Series B funding.
Wow, and their growth has been impressive.
Doubled their signups and revenue in just 6 months, over 100,000 new accounts.
What's driving that kind of growth?
Well, their Chrome extension is pretty popular. It integrates AI summaries across a ton of different platforms.
Like what?
Email, Slack, meeting platforms, even enterprise tools like HubSpot and Jira, anywhere there's a lot of text, basically.
So it helps you cut through the noise and get to the important stuff quickly.
That's the idea. They're going beyond just meeting transcriptions with their AI assistants.
Interesting. It seems like AI is rapidly changing how we interact with information, both in our work and personal lives.
It's definitely a trend to watch, and we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. It's amazing to think just how much AI is weaving itself into our work, and how we get things done online.
Yeah, just a few years ago, AI felt like a gimmick, and now it's becoming a must-have tool for businesses and everyday folks like us.
We're seeing a real shift, a transformation. As AI keeps getting smarter and more integrated into what we do every day, well, who knows how we'll learn, work, even interact with each other in the future.
It makes you wonder, as AI takes over more of those tasks humans used to do, what happens to all those people?
It's a question everyone's asking,
That's
right?
right.
Some experts are saying AI is going to cause mass unemployment. Others say it'll break new industries, opportunities we can't even imagine yet.
It's like peering into a foggy future, isn't it? Hard to tell what's really out there. But one thing's for sure, we can't just sit back and wait. We've got to think about the impact this is going to have on society, on the economy.
Definitely. Figuring out how to retrain people whose jobs might be on the chopping block because of automation, how to equip the next generation for a world where AI is everywhere.
It's a big responsibility preparing for that future. And speaking of responsibility, we've got to remember AI can pick up bad habits.
Biases.
Right,
Sean.
biases from the data it's trained on. And that can have serious consequences, especially in things like hiring or loans or even the justice system.
Absolutely. If an AI is learning from biased data, it can make unfair or discriminatory decisions, reinforcing those biases.
We have to be so careful about the data used to train these AI systems, make sure it represents everyone fairly, and that the algorithms themselves are built to avoid bias.
It's not just about being aware of the problem, but actively working to counteract it.
Back to those AI podcast generators for a second.
Yes.
We talked about Meta's Notebook Llama. It's interesting tech, but it kind of makes you wonder, what's going to happen to podcasting as we know it?
Right. If AI can create decent audio content from text, it could really shake things up, especially for people who don't have the resources to make professional sounding podcasts.
It could open doors for a lot of new voices and perspectives. But on the other hand, there's that human element, the creativity, the connection you feel listening to a podcast.
Right.
Can AI capture that?
That's the big question, isn't it? Podcasts connect with us because of the hosts, their personalities, their relationships. AI can generate speech, sure, but can it replicate that kind of chemistry, the humor, those off-the-cuff moments?
Maybe AI can help with some parts of making a podcast, like editing or even brainstorming ideas. But I don't see human podcasters being replaced anytime soon.
Yeah, probably more of a collaboration. AI helping humans do what they do best.
We've talked a lot about developers and businesses, but what about the average person? How is all this AI stuff changing their daily lives?
Even if we don't realize it, AI is already woven into so much of what we do. Personalized recommendations on streaming services, spam filters, voice assistants on our phones, all powered by AI, constantly learning and improving.
It's becoming more and more a part of our everyday routines, almost invisible.
Right, and as it keeps getting smarter, who knows what other applications we'll see? Maybe personalized healthcare, AI tutors that adapt to your learning style. The possibilities are mind-blowing.
It's an exciting time to be alive, to witness all this, but at the same time, we have to remember AI is a tool, a powerful tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Couldn't agree more. It's on us to make sure AI is developed and used ethically, with a focus on how it can benefit everyone, not just a select few. It's really kind of amazing, isn't it? Just how much AI is impacting so many different things. We've seen it in software development, hiring, podcasting, even just in tools designed to help us process all that information out there.
Yeah, AI is everywhere you look these days, and it seems like it's only going to become more integrated into our lives in the future. But with all this focus on what AI can do, it's also important to think about, the flip side.
Definitely, the potential downsides. Like any powerful tech, AI can be used for good or bad. We can't just get caught up in all the exciting possibilities and forget about those potential risks.
So, what are some of the things we should be keeping an eye on? What are those potential downsides to all this AI integration?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is jobs. As AI gets more sophisticated and can do more of the things humans used to do, some jobs will inevitably be automated.
Right, and that could lead to a lot of people losing their jobs, especially those in industries where AI can take over a lot of the tasks.
Exactly. It's something policymakers and business leaders really need to be considering. How do we prepare for that shift? What can we do to help those workers?
So, retraining programs, maybe focusing on developing skills that are harder for AI to replicate.
Things like critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, emotional intelligence.
Those are skills that are uniquely human, right?
Exactly. It's not just about job displacement, though. It's about the nature of work itself changing.
Right, because AI can also work with humans, right?
Absolutely. AI can automate tasks, but it can also augment human capabilities. We'll likely see a lot more collaboration in the future, humans and AI working together as partners.
That's an interesting idea. But there's also the problem of bias in AI.
Oh, definitely. That's a big one. AI systems learn from data, and if that data is biased, reflecting the biases that already exist in society, well, the AI will inherit those biases.
And that could lead to some serious problems, especially in things like hiring, lending, even the criminal justice system.
Exactly. It could perpetuate unfair practices, make things even worse.
So we need to make sure the data used to train these AI systems is as diverse and representative as possible.
And that the algorithms themselves are designed to counteract bias. It's not a simple fix, but it's absolutely crucial.
Then there's also the issue of, well, AI can seem like a black box sometimes. It's not always clear how it makes decisions.
Right. Transparency and explainability are big issues, especially when AI is making important decisions that impact people's lives.
Like if an AI is used to decide who gets a loan.
Exactly. You need to be able to understand why someone was denied, what factors went into that decision.
So we need AI systems that can show their work, so to speak, explain how they arrived at their conclusions.
It's a big area of research right now, developing those more transparent and explainable AI systems.
So it seems like for every potential problem with AI, there are people out there trying to find solutions.
That's the thing about technological progress. It's an ongoing process. As we develop new technologies, we also have to develop safeguards, ethical frameworks to make sure they're used responsibly.
So what's the big takeaway for our listeners?
AI is a powerful force. It's already changing our world in so many ways, but it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us, all of us, to make sure we're using it wisely.
Being aware of the risks, engaging in conversations about AI ethics, and working together to shape how AI is developed and used in the future.
Exactly. It's our responsibility to make sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few. And it's a responsibility we all share.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into this week's top AI news. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with more insights from the fascinating world of artificial intelligence.
Espresso. AI. Espresso. AI. Espresso. Your weekly shot of Gen AI news.